Sucker Punch has always been a huge part of my childhood. Ever since I watched my downstairs neighbor take on Clockwork's trial in Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. I knew, back then, that gaming would forever hold a special place in my heart, as I watched him shoot out all the falling rocks, or hack away as Bentley. The lava demons that you had to shoot in order to protect Sly gave me nightmares as a child, and all that came to that climactic finale. I watched, eyes glued to the screen, as he flew, dipped, and dodged all of Clockwork's attacks. Music blaring, the horrid screeches and moans of pain as Clockwork took damage. Falling, crashing, smashing. All coming ahead to that bittersweet ending, where Sly left Carmelita out to dry. I knew then and there that I just had to get my hands on the sequel when it came out. I remember seeing it in a dream, and going to Toys R Us to pick up a band of thieves years later. The rest, as they say, is history. Since that fateful day, I always grew antsy for the next SuckerPunch Productions adventure. I stuck with them through Honor Among Thieves, Infamous, and with their newest release, Ghost of Tsushima. I loved every single one of them. Hopefully, the new Ghost of Yotai is going to be a phenomenal ride too. But the one game I never played was their first one. So, will Rocket Robot on Wheels hold up to the impossible standards I set up upon it in my mind? Or will it be a lackluster simple kids game? Rocket Robot on Wheels is much more different than I had first thought. I was expecting a simple 3D platformer collectathon like the likes of Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64, and to some extent it is, but it has a different coat of paint on. Rocket Robot, as I'll be referring to the game from now on, is a physics-based puzzle platformer. The goal of which is simple. Dr. Gavin has set up an amusement park for his pet Whoopi the Walrus, where Whoopi will be the main attraction and his sidekick Jojo Raccoon will play second fiddle. Gavin leaves and Jojo kidnaps Whoopi and begins to take over Whoopi World. It's up to Rocket to save Whoopi and stop Jojo by collecting all the tokens and tickets that were stolen hidden around each of the attractions. Where other 3D platformers mostly focused on tight controls and precision platforming, Rocket Robot has large emphasis on the physics of the game world and solving puzzles, along with tricky, precise platforming. The reward for completing each challenge is a ticket. The last ticket in each level is given when you collect all 200 tokens in any given level, including the main hub levels. Tokens aren't just used for tickets, they also unlock the ability to use vehicles and gain power-ups. Rocket has a few things he can do. He's equipped with an anti-gravity beam. It allows Rocket to pick up objects as well as to grab onto hooks, or handles as the game calls them. Hooks aren't necessarily shaped like Sly Cooper hooks, but they absolutely act the same. I'm just expecting Bentley to pop up and say, "Jump and press the circle button again to latch on." The upgrades include a double jump, a slam, a freeze beam, and a grapple beam. Double jump sounds like it would be standard, but due to the physics system and the animations of this game, there are moments where it becomes finicky and a tad unwieldy. If you jump from high enough, Rocket bounces when he hits the ground, and jumping from that teeny tiny little airtime triggers a double jump, tripping me up whenever I'm doing anything challenging regarding the platforming. There's also no coyote time in this game. Coyote time comes from like those old cartoons like the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner shorts. Game developers often implement methods to jump from spaces past the ground to make them slightly easier or more fun to play. Old Mario games use this trick a lot. Well, anyway, I bring this up because if Rocket lands after moving too fast, he carries momentum, meaning that if you're hopping from platform to platform, there's a good chance that you'll just kind of roll off the platform and instigate the double jump by accident, throwing off any rhythm you may have had. This may also be a compounding issue for me because there was the slightest of delays due to my recording method that I use for capturing N64 footage, but it really made me not only guess the jump a little earlier than I needed to, but also forced me to learn the minute timings of every platform in the later levels. That may have sounded more negative than I intended. These aren't negative issues, mind you. The tad frustrating, sure, but definitely not negative. The game eventually forces you to get good with a sharp difficulty curve in the last 2 levels. Don't worry, I'll definitely be talking about them all of the levels, that is. I genuinely loved the levels in this game. Like, the level design is on peak. But we're not done talking about the other abilities. The slam is the only method to do damage to enemies and objects. First you grab things, then you jump up and hit the Z button. This sends anything crashing down to the ground and shattering into an explosion. Grabbing enemies doesn't stop them from hitting you. The freeze ray makes dealing with enemies a little bit easier. It just freezes them. You can break them afterwards. I don't like the way Rocket here thrusts every time he sprays his light, frosty snowflakes. The freeze beam also allows you to freeze water. This action creates ice platforms for you to cross water. These platforms remind me of the ones from Canada in Sly 2. Much like Sly, Rocket can't swim, if that wasn't obvious with the whole not having limbs thing. But he does sink. This actually allows you to just move underwater and then create an ice platform, which will then float up to the surface of the water. I've seen it done in speedruns. It definitely looked a lot easier to do than how I was doing it all game. The grapple beam is unwieldy. I'm not the biggest fan of this tool. You go into a first-person-esque viewpoint and then aim a target laser to any grabbable object. Those can be boxes, or enemies, or grapple spots, or hooks. Basically anything that the basic grab beam can work on, the grapple beam will work on too, just at a distance. Every level is a small platforming wonderland, bursting with creative challenges and puzzles to sink your clanker teeth into. Every level has a unique vehicle or two, which holds a plethora of tickets to collect. Why don't we begin with the first world, Clowny Island. The level itself is small, which I guess I could expect seeing as it's the first world, but there is a lot of charm here. Seeing as Whoopi World is supposed to be a theme park, having Clowny Island filled with the attractions helped convey the theme park aesthetic. It's a shame it's really the only level to do so. It's also on a beach, so it was really giving me that Coney Island or Jersey Shore vibe. I loved the one ticket where you need to play like the throwing games, like the tic-tac-toe with the chicken or the feed the presidents. Like, that was fun. I also loved the Beat World challenge. The flowers and log obstacles were fun and eased me into the platforming in this game. The Dune Runner is the vehicle for this level. It's a hot dog car and is unironically one of my favorite vehicles in the entire game. It controls really well, if not a little drifty. What I mean by that is it'll just slide a little bit. But it's not really much of an issue. I think what makes it one of my favorite vehicles is the level itself. The dunes on the beach make for fun short jumps. The race with the other car is really fun. I just loved running him off the course and or just watching him crash into the pier. It was so silly. The ring challenge is easy, and all around, it's just a ton of fun. What a beautiful first level for challenge's sake. Collecting the machine parts activates the T-Rex statue, which gives us a decently tough platforming section. These barrels have me jumping like Mario Jumpman Mario in a quick game of Donkey Kong. Man, I suck at that game too. My favorite puzzle though in this level was the Galaxy 2000 car. I didn't know it had a name. I'm sure it was told to me, but I probably was skimming through the text and wasn't paying really attention to anything. Anyway, this is a roller coaster that we get to build. It's giving me Thrillville vibes, and I fucking love Thrillville. The first ticket is easy enough. All you have to do is make a track that completes a circle, but the real puzzle begins with trying to get all the tokens and doing the second ticket. In the second ticket, you need to build a track that goes through all the markers in the correct order. It's the only level with one of these build your own coaster puzzles, and I was hoping that there would be way more. I fucking loved this puzzle. Level 2 is called Paint Misbehaving. Now, I had a hard time reading some of these level titles while in the overworld. I'm sure it's mostly due to the stretching of the upscaler, but the circling font with the slightly grainy resolution on my monitor was not doing me any favors in the legibility department. Paint Misbehaving is a dope-ass level. It's a Roman-inspired semi-water level. Half the level revolves around solving paint puzzles using the Hover Splat. Now, the Hover Splat is an omnidirectional hovering chariot with a paint cannon. You can cycle through colors and paint pretty much any surface in the level. In the second half of the course, you'll come across a river, and the only way to freely move about it is with the Finbot. Now this robot dolphin is rather cumbersome to move around in. I feel like they made it so annoying to move around in order to differentiate it from the other water vehicle that will be appearing later on in the game, which is silly because it already moves underwater. It's already different. Anyway, the Finbot only moves forward if you keep tapping the A button. It makes this level's ring mission a pain in the ass, but you have more than enough time to finish it, even with a few mess-ups. The machine parts open up the gates and raise the water level so that there's more exploration of the river areas. This is a rather large level by comparison to the rest of the game. There's even an inside segment with some tricky platforming in that Roman building you get to raise after coloring all the statues in the circle. On to mind-blowing. By process of elimination, this is my least favorite level, and that says a lot about the level design of this game, because this level rocks. Pun intended. Mind-blowing is a small, relatively vertical level. You'd think I'd dislike this level just based on that alone, seeing as I really didn't like the Predator Awakes inside too. If you want to see my thoughts on the Sly series, I did make reviews of all 4. Check them out if you like this video. Self-promotion aside, I really enjoyed this level. The vehicle here is the beam lift. You only use it in the small room, but it allows you to pick up large boxes. It also lets you position the boxes in ways to create platforms so that you can reach parts of the wall that are just too high. There's also a ticket under this cage that you need the beam lift for. The controls sound more confusing than anything, but they're really not that bad. You can move in any direction thanks to the ability to auto strafe. You can also pivot with the beam lift by holding the Z button. But it's a small area, and the only reason you'd want to pivot is to place boxes within areas with precision. This might be my least favorite of the vehicles due to the tickets you get with it, but I like the puzzle aspect of trying to make platforms with the boxes. The other areas in the level are pretty cool too. The gem area is a short romp through some caves where you need to throw gems at similarly colored gems in order to blow up the walls. Climbing all the way to the top of the map lets you hop over to the Whoopi statue. Here you can play around with bombs. They explode when touching any surface, so be careful moving around while holding one. On the other side of the statue, you can activate the elevator. This leads to the mushroom area. Getting caught by the mushrooms allows you to do a triple jump, like that of Super Mario 64 fame. This gets you to new heights. It's a simple mechanic, and it only appears one other time in the game if I'm not mistaken. I think it's in Food Fright. I think. I think they're marshmallows or something. Outside of the mushroom area, there's also the rolling rocks. These big guys don't actually damage you, but the challenge comes from avoiding the enemies and the rocks while carrying bombs. The last notable area in Mind-Blowing is the minecart segment, and I fucking love this area. It reminds me of a slower paced Donkey Kong Country level. The main draw is hopping out of the minecarts and doing some form of platforming, whether that's running against the slanted platforms or swinging from a hook right into a cart. It's beautiful, and it's the closest thing to a roller coaster that this level has. The machine parts open up a very tricky physics-based platforming area, and the hardest part is most definitely the spiral platforms. It spins based on how fast you run on it, but it's not so bad if you slowly jump around. The rest of the challenge is swinging on moving hooks. I'm only now realizing the similarities to early Sly Cooper. Arabian Flights. Arabian Flights, such an interesting level. The best way to describe this one is a large, open, vast skies filled with tall buildings. It really reminds me of one of those flying Spyro the Dragon levels. I also made a review of that game and its remake. You know, I should really get around to playing those other 2 games. Anyway, the main gimmick of Arabian Flights is the Shag Flyer. It's a magic carpet that flies around pretty fast. This level has the hardest ring challenge in the game. That's not even fair to say. That is the hardest one in the entire game, is putting it lightly. That shit took me forever. It is quite frustrating, but it never feels impossible. It's just annoying enough to keep me coming back. It is very hard. There are a couple of fun indoor challenges too, like the magnet room, or the one room where you need to grab the key. I think it's like the room of 1,000 mysteries or something like that. There's a big pachinko machine area too. That was a lot of fun. The only way to open up that area though is by getting all the machine parts. The level also has a ton of tricky platforming, like the area where you have to jump from platform to platform in order to turn off the force field, and like that's deceptively tricky. Like, it's not so bad, it's just I was having a hard time with it for no reason. It sounded like an easy challenge. I don't know what's up with me. I just it was fucking up every time. There aren't many other challenges in the level that are really worth mentioning. Oh wait, actually the bomb switch tower, that one was cool. Due to the moving platform you're on, it makes aiming the bombs a little harder. But once you get the hang of the timing, it wasn't so bad. Food Fright, finally. This is my favorite level in the game. I'm not positive if it's supposed to be like the penultimate level or not, but I found this one to be much easier than Pyramid Scheme, so I want to talk about it first. This nightmare-induced Willy Wonka-inspired factory level is amazing. It's another vertical level, but it's not that hard to get around in. The spiders make for easy hooks to get to out-of-reach areas. The chocolate milk or the whole milk rivers both lead to whirlpools that are shortcuts to different parts of the level. And the tickets are wacky, silly, and the platforming can be challenging. The vehicle in this level is called the Spider Rider, or was it the Critter Rider? You know, I can't really remember what the game told me it was, but this guy calls it the Spider Rider, and the manual calls it the Spider Rider. Well, anyway, must be like a Mandela effect thing. The Spider Rider is basically the hot dog runner, if the hot dog runner runs on water. What a joy this level was to explore and get around in. Feeding the troll was a cool and simple ticket. It cracked me up. The ring segment was challenging, but it wasn't so tough that it pissed me off. It was actually a really fun one. Weighing down the scale with the candy was clever. It actually also takes your weight into account, so you can hop into it as well. And the machine parts activate the hat crane. That was pretty dope. Helps you get around. The water segment at the top of the level is filled with many fun and complex challenges. Walking on the snakes and tricking the bomb switches unlocks a giant beast in the middle of the lake. One where you need to bomb out his eyes in order to collect the prize on its back. The other challenge lies within its mouth, where there's an obstacle course that the Critter Rider needs to get through. Good luck trying not to get hit in that one. There's also the Ladybug Flipping Challenge. That one was easy, also super duper cute. Along with the tricky platforming of this level, the tokens aren't that hard to find, unlike some of the other levels. Levels like Pyramid Scheme, the penultimate level, is a sharp spike in difficulty. Sure, there were moments in other levels that were tough or tricky to figure out, but Pyramid Scheme takes all of that into a whole new height. Your first objective in this Mayan-inspired world is to get all the machine parts. In order to do this, you need to do one of the tightest platforming segments I think I've ever done, period, in like any video game. Probably. I don't know. These first platforms flip so quickly, making you need to get the rhythm just right if you're hoping to hop around. Sure, it's timed, but that doesn't really bother me so much. What does is the deceptive perspective and my inability to accurately judge distances. I often found myself overshooting the first platform or mistiming my next jump. The worst is when you activate the double jump on accident. Oh my god. Oh my god, I wish I knew the speedrun strats to get around here, because fuck my life. Because the speedrun strats, you just skip this whole like first section. The next button makes these statues rise up, and they can be pretty tricky. But if you make it to the last one, hooks appear, and you need to speed swing your way to the end. That's really the only time where the timer is an issue, because they don't give you much time to swing on through. Then there are these launch pads, and they're pretty cool. The freeze beam, I'm not sure if it's a glitch or something, but the freeze beam actually allows you to get launched like super duper sky high. Climbing to the top of the pyramid gets you another ticket, and there are a bunch of screws that lift a statue for another ticket. The remaining tickets are found when you get all the machine parts. The parts unlock the Dark World, a lava-filled hellscape that's encased in a dirt bike track. Your first objective should be to climb the pyramid and survive the volcanic eruption. This was very, very challenging at first. Eventually I figured it out. But it was hard because the entire room is a massive circle, and the perspective makes it look like you can just jump left, like to the left. But if you do that, you'll jump straight into the magma, because the way like the room curves. So you have to like jump slightly diagonal. But once you make it to the hooks, it's really not so bad. The ending unlocks the glider bike. Now, this has to be my favorite vehicle in the entire game. It's a bat-themed motorcycle. At the push of a button, you get to glide or hop off the ground. Mwah, beautiful. This bike definitely takes a lot of time to master, but when you do, it feels awesome. And the ring challenge may not be the easiest, but it's definitely not the hardest either. I think the hardest bit might be when you ride off the ledge and need to flip on the wings such that you kind of glide across the gap without gaining or losing too much height. But yeah, that one was a lot of fun. It definitely takes a lot of, like I said, because it's the glider bike, it takes a long time to master. That's what makes that ring challenge hard, but once you do, it's really not so bad. Using the bike to fly up and make to the highest bits of a level is hard, but boy is it fun. And the other tickets have you stopping back and forth from the dark world to the day world in order to complete certain platforming challenges, or in order to position platforms just right so you can reach a ticket. There's also like that one where you get to like blow up Jojo's face and then it tells you like the secret platform, secret puzzle, whatever, and then you have to go back and you like type it in. Yeah, like this level was fun. This is one of those levels that's hard, but like it's rewarding, and like the more time you spend in it, the more fun you have in Pyramid Scheme. Now, we can't forget about the hub world. Whoopi World also has tickets and tokens to be found. Honestly, these tickets are really hard to encounter. I needed a guide in order to find literally all these, except for maybe like 2. There are hidden entrances to fun challenges, or they're like flat out hidden in the walls and you're just supposed to figure out that they can open up. Hopping off the side of Paint Misbehaving has a hidden ledge, and the nose on JoJo's statue is a hook, so like that opens up the mouth. There's even like a Wing Mario with a rainbow type level hidden in the clouds. That's like the other one where I accidentally stumbled upon that one. You stand on a cloud and like get teleported into a level where you throw screws. Although a Mario Wings of the Sky level in this game with like the glider bike would be fucking awesome. You kidding me? That would be dope. Anyway, the second floor of Whoopi World has hard to see platforms and trippy visuals that hide secrets like these coins that lead to rolling death traps or this other segment. I forgot where the other area leads you to. Whoopi World is crazily designed, and I have no idea how kids are supposed to figure out quite literally all of these tickets. They're super tricky. There's a hint menu. It's super helpful because it also doubles as like a collection screen for each level, but it also tells you like how to get all the tickets, but they're riddles. Like they're just kind of like they like hint towards how to do it, but they don't outright tell you how to do it. And like most of these hints are really hard to decipher as like a grown-ass adult. Like there's one that's like in Whoopi World it's like under the bridge or some shit like that. That's like what the hint is. And then you go under the bridge and there's nothing there. It doesn't tell you that there's a fucking door you have to like find and touch with your anti-gravity beam. Like it doesn't tell you that, so you have to like I spent like an hour like trying to figure out like what the fuck does it mean by under the bridge. But yeah, it's cool because it tells you like the general idea of where I think it should be. It doesn't tell you like outright how to do it, and that's fun. I do like the hints at them. Although I did, again, I'm a grown-ass adult and I was like, I don't understand half of the shit. I feel like my dad looking at my phone like that's... The final challenge is JoJo's World. And before you take on JoJo's World, be sure that you have found as many power packs as you could. These are usually hidden in offbeat paths in all the levels, including the hub world. Keep an eye out when exploring out in all these levels, and you should find a decent majority of them. JoJo's World is the ultimate culmination of everything the game has to offer, wrapped up into an incredibly difficult and unforgiving platform challenge. There are checkpoints for every segment, but if you run out of health, you're sent back to the beginning of Whoopi World. The first set of hurdles are these swing hooks. It's easy to over or undershoot the jump, but on top of that, if you hang about too long on the hooks, they will break and you'll fall to your doom. So be precise, be quick, and you should be fine. To move on to the first challenge, which is a Clowny Island inspired rolling log challenge. The first challenge is a Clowny Island inspired rolling log platforming segment. The flowers that spin are not really an issue despite my clear inability to jump on them properly, but the hard bit is the logs that spin and are affected by your weight. They tip and they spin, and it's quite challenging actually. There was a similar part There was a similar part in the B world, but that one wasn't so hard because you didn't actually have to cross the entire log to progress. Losing all your health constantly, only to come back here and keep attempting this, is really frustrating. Again, because I have a clear lack of ability on jumping on fucking flowers. You know how infuriating that is? I'm messing up the first jump. After logs, there's a spiral platform that's truly not so bad, seeing as you can take your time with it. After some more swings, we're at the easiest segment, but also the most demoralizing if you constantly keep coming through here. You need to get the Roman colors: orange head, green body. There are geysers that shoot primary colors and one that erases them all. Mixing and matching until you get the right colors is how you progress through the level. But once you get your colors just right, you then have to quickly hop across all these Roman columns as clown robots shoot at you with their own hover splats. These don't do damage, but they do change your color. But if you're lucky, you might actually get them to turn you into the right colors. So, swinging through the water nozzle leads you to one of the hardest segments. Here, there's another spiral platform, but you're on top of the loop this time. And the faster you move, the faster it spins. If you resort to jumping on the spiral, be warned, it's affected by your weight. So if you jump onto the opposite side, it might actually start spinning backwards. Or it might just flat out stop, ruining your momentum. Or, you know, it's just like a tricky bit. I would highly recommend not jumping on it unless you're like about to fall off. But yeah, that's a really tricky one. The spiral platform that you're on top of it is tough. If you make it to the elevator, you are met with a bunch of platforms and a bomb dispenser. Blowing up the wall in front of you releases the deadly giant fan, and you need to destroy as many blades as it approaches, destroying the ground beneath you. Eventually, you're able to jump onto the spinning midsection of the fan. You don't have to destroy all the blades, just enough where you can make the jump. That's all you need to do. And this will lead you to part 2 of JoJo's World. I died so many times during the spiral platform that I could never get the fan bit consistently. Do you know what it's like having to redo the same bits hundreds of times? Each time the main villain calls you a metal midget. Who fucking wrote that line? It's actually really funny. A little demoralizing, really funny. It's like every time you pass by they calls you a midget. The fuck, bro? And it was at this point where I started to believe that this game wasn't meant for children. The end of the fucking game. But it was here that I realized truly that SuckerPunch Productions was making relatively mature games since their conception. Even when their characters are raccoons and robots, they always made it a little more adult. Like, they always had this more adult outlook to them. Sly Cooper was a game series about overcoming tragedy or becoming who you needed to be, stopping the past from repeating itself, or trying to come to terms with your legacy and what it means to not only yourself but the family you have or the one that you created. These aren't necessarily kid themes. Infamous was a game series defined by its choices and its gritty outlook. The dark comic book aesthetic lent itself an interesting visual appeal while having a fun 3D third-person shooter gameplay that was interesting take for the traditionally platform games company, like the traditional platform games company. Even Second Son had themes of xenophobia and gentrification, as well as revolution overthrowing corrupt government agencies. These are not games designed with the idea of children playing them. Don't even get me started on Ghost of Tsushima, depicting values over doing what's right in order to protect your family or your countrymen against the invading force. Not to mention, like, all the other shit that game has. I gotta replay Ghost of Tsushima. That game was bloody as fuck. Love it. None of these games are kid games in their themes or in their gameplay choices. Going into this game blind, I was fooled by the cartoony look into believing that this would be a cakewalk. But JoJo's World kicked my ass for a straight week and a half, and it was the only level I didn't like. And we're just barely scratching the surface of this level. After the fan blades of death, we make it to the reasonably easy portion of the game. I guess the game devs thought it would be nice to give us a false sense of security before they destroy my hopes and dreams. We are met with an ice platform segment. Here, you can either walk under the water and create ice platforms to hop on them and then grapple up to the next pool, and then do that again. Or you can take forever like I did and jump across. Whatever. honestly, it's not so bad. Following that is the easiest set of platforms. They look daunting, but they follow you, so it's not so hard. You can even control them when you're on top. Like, they stop moving, and then you get to like move up to right, and the platform moves up to right. Next up is the magnet wall, like that of the Arabian Flights level. Here you throw a metal block at a magnet just after pushing the switch to turn it on. Then you just swing on it, and move on up the level. Follow that up with some tricky set of sideways jumps in order to get to the next set of magnet swings. This time there are 2 blocks. Now you can throw the block up to the platform, or you can set them up such that you can use the grapple beam to grab them from a distance. Whatever works for you. It's not too bad. But up next is a trial so hard that I don't even know how I managed to pass it. Not gonna lie to you, kinda got lucky with it. Just a little bit. The next set of swings brings us to a lava pool in which rocks swirl around it. Truthfully, it looks more intimidating than it really should be. I mean, sure, the first like 1 or 2 jumps I fucked up, but like once I learned how it works, it wasn't so bad. The jump to the first rock just involves a bit of timing, and then you can chill on it until it gets close to the tower. Or you can jump like an impatient person. I don't know, up to you, boo-boo. After getting to this part about 87 times, you eventually get tired of waiting. Swinging on up the Tower of Death, you make it to the hardest part. And these launch pads will send you flying across to the next platform. But the last set, for whatever reason, is spaced just far enough apart where you'll need to do a running start on the launch pad, which sounds a lot easier than it actually is. Do it wrong and you'll jump it too short, hit the jump pad with too much momentum, and you do the double jump issue. You can try the freeze gun trick, but that involves good timing, which I don't have. And then when it goes off, you have to make sure you like don't overshoot the platform. So yeah, that last one's really hard. And mind you, every time you miss, you lose a health point, and then if you die, you have to go through the entire thing. You have to start from the Clowny World log cabin one all over. You have to get to the fan blades. Understand, JoJo's World fucking was hard. It was not easy at all. Now, I made it with perseverance, a dash of determination, and a good heaping of rage sprinkled on with a little luck. But eventually, I managed to make the jump. Don't ask me how, I somehow managed to make the jump. I'm pretty sure you need to jump on the launch pad and then run quickly, letting the pad like send you, but I don't know for certain. I got lucky. I was a little too angry. Eventually, you swing on through the mouth of JoJo, and you enter this area with the giant spider. No worries. The spider is actually super duper easy. This monumental food fight friend has one weakness: bombs. Throw them at the leg joints and you don't really have to worry about getting hit. But you do have to worry about staying on the webbing. If the leg lands on the webbing you're standing on, the whole thing freaks the fuck out. Looks like the webbing is just as afraid of spiders as some people are. Climbing on up the arachnid amigo, we make it to JoJo's unfinished flame ball of death. Pretty sure that's what he called it. It's actually super duper easy. The hooks you grab onto to make it up to the ball did make me dizzy, but they're not so bad. You don't even die if you let go. So it wasn't bad at all. Once on the flame ball, you just need to stay on the parts that aren't red, and you should be good. Destroying JoJo's hard work lets us free Whoopi. Dr. Gavin congratulates us on a job well done, but we still need to collect everything. And upon gathering all the tickets and tokens, Dr. Gavin renames Whoopi World to Rocket Land. Then we get to see one of the most creative credit scenes I've ever seen, in which we're surrounded by a bunch of screws with faces and names attached to them. And the faces and names of all the devs and people who worked on this game were really cool. Picking them up tells us who they are and what they did on this project. It's super duper cute, and I wish more games did stuff like that. It's been a wonderful trip checking out SuckerPunch's first game. I am actually pleasantly surprised. The art style really fooled me into believing this was going to be a by-the-numbers kid game, but what I got was a decently hard platformer with a lot of fun mechanics and level designs. And the only things that I found to be a little lacking are the score, who the internet claims was written by Julian Soul. and the story. Now, the credits in the manual don't have a segment that states the musical composer, so I'm not sure if it was actually Julian Soule. I don't really want to disparage him, but he has a really large and really cool body of work, including like 2013's Deadpool or Dota 2. He worked on Dead Rising 3, and of all things, Giant Citizen Kabuto. that game is a... Anyway. The music of Rocket Robot feels like it falls to the wayside. But yeah, it's true. To me, I feel like the music of Rocket Robot feels like it falls to the wayside. When I think of an amusement park, I usually think of like super duper hype soundtrack playing. Like Six Flags advertising will forever have shaped me because I associate "we like to party." We like to party linked to like the bald man who's dancing in all the advertisements back in like the 2000s in the 2000s. I will forever have those linked, and that's just what I think about amusement parks. It's just fun, super duper hyped music, and I don't know, having laid back jazz like that style of music playing in the background for every level just really didn't excite me for much. It's not like the music is bad, it's just like, I don't know, like when you're dying to the same platform 300 times, the jazz music doesn't really keep me motivated much. I wasn't like expecting Ghost of Tsushima levels of storytelling, but I was expecting to see JoJo's influence around the different levels. All we got were like robot insects and clowns everywhere. And sure, I guess the big machines were all turned off, effectively shutting down parts of each attraction, but I feel like there could have been more. Maybe more references to JoJo's presence, like graffiti, or maybe having the Whoopi statues and figures defaced or something. You know what I mean? Like he's the jealous second in command mascot who wants to be the one in the limelight. So I feel like having him be shown off more would have been cool. I found this game to be really, really tough, and I think that's a good thing. It feels like Rocket Robot could be the type of game an older brother could play for their like younger siblings and still like find enjoyment in themselves while playing it. Like keeps the kids engaged because like pretty colors and like the cartoon aesthetic, but like it's challenging and kind of frustrating for like the older brother to like constantly keep coming back. I think that's a good thing, and I enjoyed this game quite a bit, more than I thought I would, truly. So I'll be giving Rocket Robot on Wheels a solid 7.5 out of 10. Now, I've been teetering on 7 or an 8 out of 10 for a while now, but I feel like 84%ing the game is pretty lackluster, seeing as all you get is a scene where the amusement park is renamed after you, and then you get the credits. And I say 84% because the game tells me that I'm at 84%, despite me collecting everything. There are some sources I saw online that say that there are more collectibles called blast tokens, but there isn't anything that I could find in the game where those exist. Maybe it's just like an old rumor that somehow made it onto the internet. Nothing I can seem to find online says there's more to do, so whatever. Next time, we'll try to incite a little rage into the heart of a small lizard. See you guys then.